everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here to talk about Fargo Season 4, Season 4, Episode 1. The land of all the what? Okay, it's called Welcome to the alternate economy. I'm just flabbergasted. I mean, it's bad. It's really bad. I mean, I thought that season 2 and 1 had their problems, but I still really liked them. And the movie is a Debbie Downer, but I'll take the movie over this shit. This isn't even Fargo. That's just plain and simple. This is trash to the maximum extent. I don't have a single positive thing to say about this episode. It's so embarrassingly bad. It's one of those 1950s racism movie / shows. Like, it's just so, like, I'm just so sick of seeing that over and over and over again. Like, I don't know who asked to see that. Like, who asked to see some sort of a civil rights period piece. Like, I don't know what that has to do with Fargo. It really has nothing to do with Fargo, except for one character. Spoiler alert. It basically takes place in Kansas City. And what I mean is, like, civil rights and Fargo don't go together. Like, it really has nothing to do with Fargo. And even if it did, the writing is just so terrible that it's comes off as childish and amateur. And there's a lot of anti-American stuff in it. Like, there's this one quote where there's this know-it-all bitchy narrator, and she really gets on your nerves because she's such an arrogant know-it-all. And she says, if America is a nation of immigrants, then how can one truly be an American, or some stupid shit like that? Like, this is embarrassing. I mean, it's so bad. It really, almost every single scene, I was going like, oh, 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 oh. That was me watching this show. Because, I mean, the acting was poor. The know-it-all narrator, she was doing a good job at being a know-it-all bitchy narrator. Because I hate narrators to begin with. Like, I hate the fact that a lot of the times there has to be some sort of a person who explains to you what happens in the background. Like, I hate that shit. That's like it's not a play, it's a show. And so I really don't want some stupid narrator telling me about, the messages and themes that they want to come across. I'd like the show to speak for itself. I didn't even really like that in the other Fargo seasons. I have not seen season 3 though, so I'll say that. I haven't seen season 3, but I would imagine it's a lot better than this shit. Because we got Chris Rock thinking he can act, and he gives probably one of the worst performances in a TV show I've ever seen. And I've seen some bad television. I mean, this show is worse than The Biggest Loser. It's worse than Ratched. It's worse than anything else that I've seen this year. And it's probably one of the worst TV shows that I've ever seen in history. Just this season, though. I'm not saying other seasons. Because it's just, there's no story. I mean, there's a story, but it's basically just contrived events that help the writers tell their agenda and tell their message. I mean, there's no story. We start off when we learn the, quote, history of the different crime families in Kansas City, and we have this weird, ugly looking parody type scenes with the sons getting traded, and it's just so stupid and dull. and boring. It doesn't have anything to do with Fargo. And then we see this young girl, and of course she's like this know-it-all person who has like a quote different perspective about everything, and it's like, you know, her walking around and knowing better than everybody, and it's just terrible. And then they have the, like, you know, back when they had child abuse allowed in schools, you know, spanking, paddling, uh, back when they had that disgusting shit in schools, you know, they make a joke out of it and they make it into some sort of humorous thing. And, you know, I thought that was a little bit appalling. You know, the fact that they thought that that was funny, because on one hand they're trying to portray this message, and then on the other hand they're like making a joke out of it like it's actually funny. And I just thought, you know, this is not something that works. You know, it's just terribly executed and terribly thought out. And and I told you guys I didn't have a positive thing to say. So if you want to go see some sort of a, you know, oh, this show is the greatest show on earth, everything's perfect, I don't have a single critique to say, you know, go watch some other boring ass Chris Stuckman dipshit channel where, you know, they sit around and say like, Fargo is like Shakespeare, just like Better Call Saul and all the other shows. Oh God, this show's so amazing, 10 out of 10, everything's perfect. You know, fuck that. I'm gonna be straight up honest about this stupid show. I just, God, it was so bad. I mean, it's sick. I mean, the 2020 is already terrible, and then you have this disgustingly bad show on top of all the stuff in 2020. God, I'm just, I'm never at a loss for words. That's for damn sure. Because you know me, I'm never. But I'm just so flabbergasted. I mean, remember back in season 2 when we had that image of Hansi looking at the sign on the building, and it says, here 22 Indians were hanged, here, and then he looks down and there's like vomit in front of the sign. Like, remember that like amazing imagery and that subtlety? Well, guess what? Flash forward to season 4, and we got a scene of Chris Rock, and he's on the bench with the Italian mobster guy, and he's like, you know, I see the signs in the windows saying no coloreds, no Italians, and I think we need to work together because we're not really enemies, you and I, and we need to work together. He's just doing this terrible job, and it's like, look at that. Like, you take those scenes, put them next to each other, you can clearly see how one is better than the other, and how one was actual good writing, and how this is trash writing. And then we have like some, I mean, it's like a parody. I mean, we have this scene where it involves like this stop and this crossing, and someone is having a problem in the back seat, and then they shart all over themselves for like 10 minutes straight, and then there's like kids playing with toy guns, and so there's like some sort of a message about guns, and it's terrible. It's just terrible. I mean, I don't have a single positive thing to say. I would say I would give this episode 1 an F minus. I would highly recommend you stay away from this show, and you know, just watch my reviews because they'll be really entertaining. You know, I'm not fully gonna rant this time because I don't want that image to be portrayed of me just being like this angry, yelling person. You know, because it's not the subject matter. It's just the fact that it feels like a completely different show, and it feels like a show that was written by someone in the third grade. And it feels like something that, it's like, how could this ever have been made? Why did they let this be made? You know? And if you so enough with talking about that shit. If you like this review, please like this video. Thumbs it up, and and then subscribe to our channel, and then keep watch for more Fargo rants and reviews, because I'm gonna review the entire season, and I'm gonna fight back against this horrible television. Because you know what else that disgusts me? I go on IMDb like an hour before the show even airs. I mean, the show hasn't even aired yet, and it already has like hundreds of reviews that all give it a 10 out of 10. And it's like clear that all these networks pay for people to give their shows 10 out of 10s before the shows even air. And I just find that sickening and disgusting. And then you got all these fanboys who can't ever criticize anything, and they 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. Oh, it's not that good, but it's still really good. Wink wink. Delusional fanboys. Talk about delusional. I'm just okay. So that's it. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon for episode 2, whatever the fuck that episode's called.